Bam, we're live. I said I'd never be late again yesterday, and look, 1 minute late. Good morning, everybody. Chris, good morning, dude.
Good morning. Good morning, guys.
This is exciting.
So great to see you.
Fifth edition of the State of the Industry report is in the house. We don't have a hard copy yet, but we have a couple beautiful. We have the PDFs. They're beautiful. I think hard copies have already made it to the Postal Service and are tracking all over the world, going to gym owners.
Yep. Thousands of copies have been shipped already. So if you're on the list, you should get one pretty soon.
This is last year's edition. There's
Yep.
nothing like this in the industry. It's such a huge honor to have you on, Chris. I say
Thank
that
you.
with no fluff, with as sincere as I can be. It's really crazy that we've done this. This is either our second or third year in a row where, when it's been launched, you've decided to come on the show and talk about it here first. It's really an honor. I in the shower this morning, as I was like prepping my opening monologue, I was thinking, man, you're the guy. You're the undisputed, most knowledgeable accumulation in a single person and a business for knowledge about small gyms worldwide on all 7 continents and the however 200 countries there are on the planet. And you've been extremely generous with all of your data. You always give it up. You have many free books out there for gym owners. There's no one who has your longevity or your success, and there's not even a second place. So,
man, thank you.
Yeah, I don't think people realize how much you've done for people. I know last year the success rate was 90% of your clients which is the largest gym consulting service in the world. 90% of your clients had an increase in revenue and profit. That's a crazy success rate.
Thank you.
Every single person we've had on the show who has used your services has given us glowing reports. So thank you. And this year, I called you and said, hey, do you want to do an affiliate video contest? I had no idea how well it was going to do. It was massively successful. It was 10 times as successful as the one we did when I worked at HQ. I did steal the idea from Greg, because we did do it once at HQ. You didn't ask any questions. You're like, yeah, I'll give 5,000 for first. I was like, what? We were just thinking, maybe 1,000 for first. You 5,000 for first. What was second, Souza?
3,000.
And then 2,000 for third, correct?
Yeah.
And then 1,000.
1,000 for third. Yeah, that's crazy. The people poured in submissions.
Awesome.
And to be completely honest, Souza did 6 live shows where he watched all the videos live. It took 6 shows, 2-hour shows to do that.
Incredible.
And yesterday when Souza got off the show, he said, oh shit. And I said, what? He said, watching all those videos had unintended consequences on me. And it was funny because I just did one show and it had unintended consequences on me. We're going to show 5 of the videos, 2 honorable mentions, and the winners today while you're on the show.
Fantastic.
You sit down and watch all these videos and it'll rock your world. You'll be like, wow, I'm really in a special business that's all about just changing people's lives. By the way, so then I called Chris and I asked him for the money, and he said, yeah. And then I started talking about how we would somehow incorporate Two Brain. He goes, hey, it doesn't matter. He's like, it doesn't matter. This is what I want to do. It's part of my charter to help businesses. However you guys want to integrate Two Brain, it doesn't matter. I just want to help. I just want to put content out there to drive the gyms. And it's always that easy to work with you. And I really appreciate it.
Thanks, man. That was actually inspired by something that you said earlier, which was like, the right thing to do is the right thing to do for CrossFit affiliates, whether we're doing it as CrossFit HQ or whether we're considered outsiders, So I really do think like this is really important, especially for CrossFit affiliates. And so I'm happy to contribute.
All the gyms, I know everyone who listens to the show who knows this, but it's always a good reminder. Every time a gym opens up in a community, it is a great asset to any community it lands in. It's basically like you drive by and you see a CrossFit gym and wow, that place is making people better, more confident, kinder, less of a stress on the entire, social infrastructure of a community. It's making people nicer. We all know that when you're more capable, you're more likely to help someone with their groceries. You're more likely to be kind to people. We know that you use less resources at the local hospital. We know you're the person who shovels the snow for your neighbor when you're fit. We know that those people who leave there are in a better mood when they went in. They'll never get the credit they deserve, every single one of these little CrossFit gyms. But watching these videos, you start going, wow, it's the potency of what they contribute to just the global civilization of human beings on the planet it's unexplainable. It's wild. We're in a really good business where we can look our kids in the eye and be like, yeah, we're doing the right thing.
Yeah, it's really unmatched. And, I get to see the other side of that, which is people who have entered the career in fitness, whatever transformation they had to change their life, they've entered it with a strong sense of purpose. And nobody expects that they're going to make a lot of money at it. But unfortunately, that's the reason that people quit the industry, is they're not making enough money. And they might give another reason, like, I'm burned out. I just couldn't get help. My spouse didn't support me. It's too stressful, whatever, but it always comes down to money. And that's why every year you get 10,000 new fitness pros and 9,000 leaving. And that's what we're about stopping, because the individual impact of every single one of these gyms is important. And I think we're going to see that probably in the videos today. I'm really thrilled, guys, by the way, that you're surprising me with this part of the show. It's awesome.
Dude, the submissions were wild.
That's awesome.
And by the way, it really, this is crazy to say, it's really not fair to pick a winner.
It wasn't. It was
we
hard.
have to pick one,
It's
but
impossible.
there's 20 of you that tied for first. There's 20 of you that tied for second. There's 20 of you that tied for third. The honorable mentions, there were 2 honorable mentions we're going to play today, could have easily have won first place. At some point, it just became like, hey, we just have to pick a winner. And I want to thank Brett out of Salty Hive CrossFit.
Yep.
Chris ponying up even more cash than the prize money, and we paid him to make 6 original videos, or 10, I can't remember, and he did an amazing job, and he went through the videos and helped us pick the winner too. It was extremely tedious. We bit off more than we watching 200 videos or 300 videos and trying to categorize them, which one is the best, was a
impossible task. Yeah.
Nightmare. Sousa pretty much took that on himself. Chris, before we get started, I want to ask you a question.
Yep.
About what's happened here in the United States with American politics. We still don't know what's going to happen, but it appears that we have elected someone who really doesn't belong to either party. He has much said so on the Joe Rogan podcast, that the only reason why he ran as a Republican was because the system is rigged, so you can only come up through 2 of those ladders, and that he wanted to come in through the Transformation Party. He is surrounded himself by people who are sharing, like the Means brother and sister, RFK, these people, and we know JFK was his uncle was an incredible proponent of fitness and health. He said it was like the singular most important issue in the country, and it never got taken care of. It's just slid down since he was in office. We know that these people are now talking about stuff that we have all had the honor to hear Greg talk about for 15 years. And Greg never thought that we would save everyone or even most people. He just thought, hey, the best we can do is get these 15,000 gyms up on 7 continents, and we can make these little lifeboats, and people who want to take the personal responsibility and accountability and surround themselves by people who want to eat well and move well can have the best life that they can possibly live, right? And one of the cornerstones of his program, or no, sorry, not cornerstone. One of the foundation of his program was don't eat sugar, move and don't eat sugar. Right.
Right.
So now we have this man who has taken office in the United States and is going to deregulate. Theoretically, he says he's going to deregulate so many things, which could really change the landscape in the whole health industry, right? Dramatically. He's saying all these rules around peptides, or supplements, or herbs and spices, and all of these places that people have been trying to regulate. He's going to open all of those up, and he's going to put a premium on I think the tagline is "Make America Healthy Again."
Wow.
And and he brought this guy on stage with him, and this guy has been RFK guy has been a kind of a cornerstone of his campaign as we move forward. have you thought about the implications it's going to have on businesses here in the United States? If nothing else, inspire more people to think it's safe to maybe open gyms? Or have you thought about the implications this is going to have, and then the ripple effect worldwide?
Well, in Canada, we actually have fewer regulations, but more bureaucracy. So it kind of nets out the same. But like, I can prescribe a nutrition program to somebody in Canada without the restrictions of licensure that you have in the States. So I do have a little bit more freedom there. My hope would be twofold. That number one, it does result in more gyms, because in this information age, we don't need more books. We don't need AI to tell us what to do. We need a coach to make us do it. That's one thing. And the second thing is that I really hope that we determine in our schools that we need to teach science, so that people know they have their own BS filter, and they know how to self-advocate, and they have physical literacy, so that they know what will actually make them happy and healthy, and so that they're not just chasing the next Ozempic.
Right. I'm just looking at your reaction, and I know that you keep your head down a lot, and you just work, and you don't really get caught up in the rumors and the politics. Was this something you hadn't thought about?
Yeah. So I definitely keep my opinion to myself most of the time, because I acknowledge that my opinion is my opinion. I am very politically active behind the scenes, in Canada, of course, not in the States. But I had no idea that had even happened yet. The coverage that we get of American election is very similar to the coverage that we get of the Super Bowl.
Okay, meaning just lots of drama and clips and highlights and
literally,
sound bites.
Yeah, literally, yeah.
Okay, well,
so that one didn't make it north.
It is, we went through regardless of where you feel, we went through a global shutdown for 4 years, and we didn't hear one of our leaders. We didn't hear Trump. We didn't hear Biden. We didn't hear I don't know if Trudeau said anything. We didn't hear one leader say, not once, hey, you should buy an assault bike or an echo bike, and you should stop eating sugar. And it would have been, we never heard that once.
No.
Never. Hey guys, you're going to be locked up. Now would be a great time to work on your health. Now would be a great time to go for a walk. Nothing. We heard, and I do, to my core, sincerely, I think that would have been the most effective method of dosing the world population with something positive, a net positive. Instead, we had an average human being gain 29 pounds in the United States. I mean, that's a lot of weight. That's two 15-pound dumbbells,
especially depending on where they started out.
That's true.
Yeah.
130 to 160.
Right. Great point. Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
And so I in that respect, I have a lot of hope. I think the messaging from our leadership could be profound. This was we had two people running for office, Vivek and RFK, this year, who is part of their. We saw them doing pull-ups. We saw Vivek Ramaswamy, one of the guys who was running to be president, actually do Murph this year.
Amazing.
And so as much as it just seems like we've never been able to crest into the mainstream movement and diet, and it seems like, wow, this is the closest we've been in my lifetime.
Yeah, I think it's really important for us to become better storytellers than ever before, because there's more knowledge out there. There's more books. There's more. You can buy programming for free. Like, Garmin sends me a program for free every single day if I want to use it. But the reality is that nobody's going to do any of that stuff. Like, more knowledge is not the solution. What really is the solution is coaches, people who care enough to dedicate their lives to helping you get rid of that 29 pounds, get off the couch, get off the sugar, who will show up at your house like Skip Chase did back in the old CrossFit Journal article, and empty out your cupboards into garbage bags and take it outside and then take you to the grocery store. Like, that's what we need is humans doing those things. And I think, CrossFit has probably inspired more people to become fitness coaches, certainly more people to become gym owners than almost any other movement. That's what's really important. And it's our responsibility as current affiliates, as former affiliates, and as future affiliates to keep telling a better story that draws people to fitness, starting from wherever they are, and then continues fitness for their entire lifetime. It's a heavy responsibility, but nobody else is going to do it. Governments on both sides of the border just missed their best opportunity that they'll have in the next 30 years to do that. It's up to us.
Yeah, very well said. It is up to us. And I guess that ties, that's the end of the line there. By that, I mean, that's also what Greg said. Government's never going to help us. And
No.
we're in a really tough business, the personal accountability, personal responsibility business. You're not selling someone a bag of M&Ms or some Ozempic and saying, hey, here's the cure, eat these M&Ms and you'll be better. Or here's your Ozempic, you'll be better. We're selling something to people. Hey, I have something for you, but you're going to have to do everything.
It's push-ups and broccoli.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm going to tell you how you can do all the work.
It's not an easy business, definitely. But you really have to admire the dedication of the people who want to do it, knowing that, and knowing that most people are not passionate exercisers like they are, and they're really willing to change people's lives. And while we do say to people, nobody is coming to save you, the reality is that there are thousands of people coming to save you, and most of them own gyms.
The 5th edition of the State of the Industry Report is finally done. It comes out every year. It's beautiful.
Yep.
The PDF is beautiful, but if you can actually get your hands on the actual hard copy, you'll be very happy. It's obviously a tremendous amount of work. Do you have a summation that you've thought of after looking at this year's largest accumulation of data, statistics, questions? What are your thoughts on the state of the industry?
So broadly, gyms are becoming more sustainable, which is great. And so number one, like their prices are going up, especially if you look at like CrossFit gyms. They had to come up. They were a lot of gyms were in a death cycle, and the price was kind of like the plug in the sink for that. Also, a lot of them are actually increasing their client headcount. It's not a lot, but they're not losing more clients than they're gaining anymore. And even last year, most gyms were just kind of like holding steady. Now the average gym is gaining about 3.5 clients a month. Wow. And which is really great, right? They're really having an impact. And if they stay focused on that and don't get overly optimistic, that's great, especially when you consider that a lot of people believe that we're in a recession right now. Like they're curbing their spending habits. Maybe they're not going into debt. It's good that the fitness industry is like actually rising, and that's lifting all boats a little bit. It's a mistake to believe like I am good at business because I'm successful in 2024 until you've been through another 2021. You can't say that, but there's lots of reasons to be optimistic, which is awesome. The other big change that really thrilled me this year is that gyms are keeping clients around longer. So if you want to measure your impact that you're truly having, it's not how many people come in the door and do a trial workout or whatever. It's how many people stay. That's how you measure your impact. And so at our gym, we said we're going to measure our impact in this community in 4 ways. Like, do people stay for at least 2 years?
Page 32.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's the retention metric for sure. Yeah. Do people reach the goal that they said they had when they came in? That's another one. A third one is like, when they leave our gym, are they quitting fitness or are they just quitting Catalyst? Because if they go on to do triathlons and stuff, that's totally fine with me. Mission accomplished. And the fourth thing is like, have they had a meaningful life-changing experience? Have they kicked, metformin or whatever, another medication? Have they met the person who's going to become their spouse? Like, so if any one of these 4 things are true, to me, I've achieved my mission with that individual client. And what we see in the state of the industry this year is that gyms are keeping clients longer. The first year that we did this, they were keeping clients for about 8 months. That's not long enough to change their lives. Then the number went up to about 11 months, 13. And now what we finally see is that a lot of gyms are able to keep clients for 17 months, which is absolutely fantastic. Like we're getting closer. It's not enough. But like the top gyms in the world are keeping people for just over 2 years. If you've got somebody working out 3 times a week, maybe doing a couple of no sugar challenges in your gym, and they're still there in 2 years, you've changed their life.
8 months to 11 months, 13 months to 17 months. And you're seeing gyms with retention as high as 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the things that you really like about the state of the industry is increased number of clients from last year.
Yep.
Increased memberships, meaning people are paying a little bit more money for their memberships, which is good for the gym owners with inflation, and retention.
Yep. Those are my big 3. And if if those are the three key things that we measure in a gym's health and they're all on the rise, I'm happy. Now, ultimately, what really makes a difference is how much the gym owner takes home from the gym, because, there's lots of gyms out there, 300, 400 members, the gym owner's not making a cent. That gym is not sustainable. The gym owner's going to have to go get a job selling real estate. What it all comes down to is like the owner has to make money. But if they've got more members, the members are paying more, and the members are staying around a long time, they've got the building blocks to do that.
And I'm guessing the more involved the gym owner, some of these things breed more success. So if you have clients that are there longer, you're going to get a better community at your gym. If the gym owner can make more money, he can be there longer and he can make the gym nicer and be more attentive to it. So a lot of these things are just, as they get better, they breed more success on top of themselves.
Yeah. Years ago in this conversation with Greg, I said, are you worried about these gyms that are quitting? And he said, no, like what should happen is when one gym fails, the clients from that gym go to a better, more successful gym. And the coaches go to the better, more successful gym because now they can get a better job. And the owner of the better, more successful gym becomes bigger and better and more successful and can open up more gyms. And what we've seen from in our program, is like the top 100 gyms in Two Brain are the ones who are most likely to open up a second location, third location, or a bigger location and actually be successful. And if we really empower those people, they are the ones that are at kind of the spearhead of the industry, and they're the ones that are going to pull the rest of us along with them.
God, I like that. Let's talk about something sad a little bit. I could see all of these metrics moving north, increase the number of clients, increase the cost of membership, and increase in retention. If on the other hand, on the negative side, we had more gym closures, right?
Yeah.
So if we're losing gyms, theoretically, that would make it so other gyms would grow. Are we at a all-time low of CrossFit gyms, but let's say boutique gyms? I don't know what the phrase you use in general.
No, It appears, I looked at the CrossFit affiliate map yesterday, and it looks like there's 10,163 affiliates. Now that's the lowest it's been in a very long time, but that doesn't mean those gyms have closed. What that means is that maybe they've de-affiliated, or maybe they're something else. They've merged, maybe they've been bought up by another gym. And this is just like what happens with any service when you raise the price. You're going to get a smaller number of clients who are paying more, and hopefully that makes up the difference in revenue. And I don't think we've seen that completely shake out yet. There's a lot of gyms that haven't reached that part of their building cycle where they have to pay like 4x what they were paying for affiliate fees last year. Sorry, go ahead. So I think that number will go down, but if you do the math and you say, okay, well, CrossFit has lost another 2,000 gyms or whatever, but the average gym is paying now 1.5 to 2 times more. In my case, it would have been 4 times more. They're actually ahead on revenue, right? If you're a private equity firm, mission accomplished.
Right. I don't know. I don't remember what year this was, but there was a year where there were some years where Starbucks was growing crazy. I lived in a town with 26,000 people, and we had 5 Starbucks gyms, 5 in Benicia, California. It was crazy. And then a couple years later, they lost 2 of the Starbucks. 2 of the Starbucks went away, and it went back down to 3, or maybe they lost 3 and it went to 2. And Starbucks seems to be doing fine these days. Is that part of me thinks that, like, yeah, dude, it shot up to 15,000 gyms. A retraction down to 10,000 seems totally normal, right? Like this launch and then sort of a resettling. This can't be unique. It's obviously not unique to CrossFit.
No, it's not. I mean, the same thing happened with F45 to a larger extent, where the franchisor actually had to go back in and buy a bunch of their own stores just to protect like their stock price. But the problem is that like this isn't a sudden thing. I mean, even before the sale, CrossFit had lost like 10,000 affiliates over time, and you could wonder like, where did they go? And the only reason that I bring that up is when you're looking at these stories, these videos of these gyms, we have to remember there were 10,000 more just like that, and they're not in play anymore. So, I'm not sure that like the changes that are happening are enough to prevent the backsliding. A lot of the growth is happening in Europe, for example, where you still have like, a lot of early adopters to CrossFit. These gyms are opening up and a year later, they've got 250, 300 members. That doesn't mean they're necessarily good at business. It just means like they're doing the right thing at the right time. And I hope that they can sustain it. And I really, really, really hope that we don't sink any further. And I hope that CrossFit goes up to 30,000 affiliates, because I don't think 10,000 is anywhere near like the carrying capacity for CrossFit. I'd love to see 30,000.
I know there's a lot of numbers in the book. Over the years since you've been tracking this, what has the ratio been of I don't know what to call them, high intensity gyms that are CrossFit versus not CrossFit?
Well, for that, we don't publish that number, but we do track with a bunch of like insurance brokers, for example. And we say like, when this gym calls you, are they going out of business or are they changing their name? And quite often, like they're just changing their name. So it is probably, if you see a decrease of 1,000 gyms on the affiliate map, you're probably looking at like 50-50 de-affiliation and closing, or 60-40, maybe even de-affiliation. And, I will say too, like a lot of these gyms are just flipping. You had Chris Christini on the show, and he said something to me that was a real epiphany a few months ago, that like a lot of the OG affiliates have been through 2 or 3 owners. So while you have a 14-year affiliate out there, the owner might actually only be a 2-year gym owner. And so, unfortunately, like hopefully that person is learning the lessons that forced the previous owners to sell.
Are you okay sharing with us your clientele? What percentage are affiliated?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So right now, we actually have more CrossFit affiliates in Two Brain. So out of 1,000 gyms worldwide, there's about 540 CrossFit affiliates. This time last year, that number would have been around 49. I don't think that people are going back and re-affiliating. 490, So it's always like,
wait a second.
No.
I forgot. No.
There's not a lot going back and re-affiliating, but there certainly are some people who have said, you know what, I'm going to de-affiliate for now. I can always come back, and maybe they're waiting for something, and whatever. That's what they're doing.
The people who are using your service, has that increased from last year?
Yeah. So I mean. Around this time last year, or maybe February 2024, we announced that we were going to cap our service at 1,000 gyms, and immediately the blowback from my staff was massive. Like, nope, we have to help gyms. If somebody shows up at our door knocking, we have to take them. And so I immediately recanted that and said, okay, well then we have to upgrade our systems to help more gyms. And so that's kind of what we did. So now we're, I don't know, maybe 70 gyms higher than we were at this point last year.
Wow.
Yeah. Thank you. The real growth, though, is in the top performing gyms. So if you look at like our top tier, these are the people who are consistently making it $100,000 a year, and now they're investing for the future. A lot of them are tracking toward millionaire status, or they're buying their business, they're building, or they're like opening more locations. That number's gone up dramatically from about 60 to about 100 gyms. And so the best gyms are growing faster than ever, which I see as a huge benefit because we can copy what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, more data on the successful gyms.
Yeah, I mean, like what Greg said was, I don't want to be the best deadlifter in the world, but I want to know who is, so that I can copy their program, right? So, and ditto for weightlifting and gymnastics and stuff. And that's really why we want to look at these people who are summiting Everest, because we're all mountain climbers, and I want to copy what they're doing. And the more gyms that are becoming successful faster, the more we can learn from them and just turn around and teach it to everybody else.
And I think that's also why Two Brain is so important, because when you have an aggregate that's able to essentially show the roadmaps that these gyms kind of, I view them as like carving the path through the jungle, right? Like they're getting in there, they're hacking everything out. The best gyms really clear out and excavate the road, so it's even clearer and easier for you to go through. But when we have something like Two Brain, you're able to take the aggregate of all of that and then distill it down. And I brought these metrics up here because, so if you're a gym owner, you're considering being a gym owner, this is your bread and butter here. These metrics that Chris and everybody at Two Brain Business laid out, if you're not keeping your thumb on the pulse of these metrics here, then you really have no control over what's happening in your business, especially if you're just like a ballparker type person. So to dig into these numbers will give you a clear roadmap for your personal gym of, hey, what knobs do I need to start to dial to make this sustainable? The other question I got for you, Chris, here is in terms of and Sebon, I don't know if you had a plan with this, and forgive me if I'm jumping around.
No, please go. I'm writing down my questions so I won't forget them.
Okay, awesome. In terms of the demographics, as far as like the average age goer of the gym, have you seen anything interesting there? Because one of the things that I know with talking with a lot of gym owners, and then something I'm feeling myself, is it seems like there's less of these young 20 somethings that are showing up to the gyms and being dedicated, which has had some sort of strain on being able to elevate them to potentially part-time coaches or getting new people into the field.
It's a good
seeing
one.
anything around there?
Yeah, what I see is like massive opportunity. So if I'm looking at like US data, gym client demographics, which is on page 16 of the guide, what I see is like 32% of the people in your gym are age 31 to 40. So, you know, my big mistake when I started my gym was thinking that all my clients were going to be just like me. You know, I thought, and this was 2008 when I started my CrossFit gym. I'd already owned a personal training studio for a few years and been a trainer for years before that. You know, I still lived under the assumption that everybody's going to be just like me. They wanted to come in, do a crazy hard workout, throw up, fall in love, compete at the CrossFit sectional event in Toronto. Like that's what I thought everybody was going to be. And what I gradually learned is like, not only are most clients nothing like that, but I'm my own worst client. Like the people who were the most like me were probably the worst clients to have, like because I was broke, you know, and I wanted to stay in the gym for 2 hours a day. And like, I did not want to clean up my chalk and all that stuff. So the point that you raised, though, Matt, is like super valid. If I'm 31 to 40 years old, I can afford to pay more for a gym membership. I cannot afford to volunteer my time to be a volunteer coach. And if you look at the shift this year, like, you know, 32% are age 31 to 40, 20% are 40 to 50. They are not going to be doing volunteer coaching. 13% are over age 50. Like only 20% of your clients really can you draw on for coaching. And the other missing 13% are like too young. So now what that does is it reduces your pool dramatically. Especially if you don't have the money to pay a coach a lot and you're trying to work out a trade or pay them like under $20 an hour, man, that pool is small.
Yeah. And because that's one thing that I just found interesting. I wonder if back in more of the early adopter days, like the 2011 to 2013, let's say that time frame, like I wonder how much more of a percentage would have skewed just a little younger. Because when I first started, we opened the affiliate 2013, 2014, it seemed like everybody that was there for a while was like, hey, should I go get my L1? I really love this. Like, I want to dig in and coach. And like now it's like I keep continuing to raise the hourly price just to find some people to come in to fill in some part times. And it's like, you know, just for as a joke, I've thrown out like, hey, $100 per class. And people are like, oh man, I just don't really have the time, but I would love to do it. And you're just like, shit, you know? And so it's just something that I found interesting. And I wonder how much that correlates or ties into the lack of media we've seen, particularly around the sport for that younger group. I wonder if there's any correlation there, because before, when you had kind of the road to the games and all these other media pieces that were coming out that told the story of actually making it into the CrossFit Games, just not the actual events, but the stories behind the athletes, it really drew a lot of that younger crowd in. And then once they got into the gym and started doing it for themselves, like you said, they started to fall in love with, hey, I'm actually really helping people here. I'm making an impact. And they make that leap from, I'm going to regionals, baby, to, hey, maybe I want to just help my mom air squat a little bit better. At least that was kind of the leap that I had made over time.
It's true. And, you know, as I think a lot of affiliate owners have matured, they've been drawn more to the mature client. I mean, we don't run a kids program anymore, but we have like a program for over 50 specifically, classes just for them. And the upside is that when this class comes in at 10 a.m. on Wednesdays, man, it feels like CrossFit 2009. Like they want to buy all the Catalyst shirts, and they want to, they want to do the lingo, and they're doing the selfies and all that stuff. It's super duper fun. And I love coaching them, but none of these people are going to be coaches at my gym, we got enormously lucky with an immigrant from Brazil who wanted to become a permanent resident of Canada. And we were so lucky to help him meet his goal of becoming a Canadian citizen and coaching full time for us. But, if you look at like, what is the average gym paying per class on page 41, $32.50. I mean, that's up dramatically from last year. Last year it was around $22-23 people were paying a coach per class. But that might not be enough, especially if your demographic skews toward over 30 people, because it's like, I actually make a lot more than that.
Yeah, and that's a big jump. $22 in 2020 to 2022, $26.46 for 2030. And then this year we got $32.50. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Is there any correlation to other rises?
I mean, inflation was massive this year in the United States. I mean, so at some point, people, I don't mean to be Debbie Downer, but at some point, you had to raise fees. If the price of beef jerky went up 300% at the gas station in the last 4 years, so I don't want to see that. I don't want to say that people don't see more value, because they do see more value if they're paying more. But also, the whole needle, everything got pushed forward. Wouldn't you say, Souza?
Yeah, for sure. Especially in the expense column.
I want to say this really quick. If you filled out the survey this year for Two Brain Business that made up this state of the 5th edition of the State of the Industry report, you have a link in your inbox right now where you can get a copy of this. And I believe we also have a link that we will put in the show notes so anyone can click it. I believe Mike Workington, the great Mike Workington, gave that to us. So we'll put that in the show notes. If you can get a hard copy, you really do want to get it. I think it's so fun to hold in your hands.
I think this is probably a good time to say, guys, if you don't mind, that like the data in this report comes from like hard data from Wattify and Kilo, who really help us a lot with this. They have exceptionally good, clean data. We do run a survey every year. We get about 1,000 responses, and we use those for the more qualitative, like, how are you feeling about things questions. But one thing that we don't want is we don't want people estimating, because if you say to the average gym owner, like, how long do people stay at your gym? I would immediately think of my longest serving clients. 13 years. Well, that doesn't actually help me make decisions. We want to know the real number, Yeah. So unfortunately, even for me, reading this report is sometimes a little bit uncomfortable, because I'm like, wow, my gym is way behind in that metric. ARM needs to come up, but that's what the truth should do, is prompt you to fix things.
And you last year you had it divided into qualitative and quantitative data. Is it like that also? Is it organized like that this year?
We've called it out, but like, I thought it was really important this year, number one, to use really, really good data. And so we actually shrunk our sample size on purpose from 13,000 to about 8,800, because some of the stuff, the responses that we were getting, it was hard to tell, like, if they actually understood. But, so that's the number one thing. But the number two thing is like, what we want to do is make this something that gym owners can use. And so the first version of this was like this 100-page encyclopedia of numbers, which was cool. I mean, looks great on the back of your toilet. But this year, the ethos was less but better. And so what we've done now is, we've got graphics that show you, like, are you in the red zone for client headcount? Are you in the middle, yellow, or are you green? Are you ahead of and so what a gym owner can do is find themselves on any of these charts and say, okay, well, I'm a green here, I'm a yellow here, I'm a red here. That red is my first priority. How do I fix that? So, client headcount is the one that Matt has up there. If you've got 0 to 95 clients and you're a CrossFit gym, big group, how do you increase the number of clients? Like, that's your top priority. And if you are in the yellow, but you're in the red for ARM or, retention, that's your top priority. It's not always get more clients, get more clients, get more clients. Mm-hmm. So I think like we've made the guide more helpful this year by giving graphics. Workington believes that we are evolving toward hieroglyphics again. And so like the simpler we can make things to understand.
We are.
He's a brilliant guy. I mean,
that says something about the IQ of our planet.
Do you think of the meme, right? The meme. It's just
Yeah.
a hieroglyphic that expresses multiple things in one photo, one picture.
Yeah, exactly. So it's, that's good. It's so hard to make things that clear. I think it's a mark of genius. Workington is great at that. Greg Glassman was great at that. And I appreciate their help because I'm not.
Look at that, Mike. You get thrown in the same bucket as Greg. That's not bad. Okay, last year on page 58, there was a question. It said CrossFit approval. And I'll show you the page really quick before I read to it. It's on page 58. And
it had gone up.
It said, it had gone up. It said 89.7% of gym owners in the CrossFit category who are currently affiliated feel confident about the future of the brand.
Yep.
And then 1% of the respondents said they do not feel confident about the future of the brand. But this wasn't even an option. And yet people wrote this in, which is crazy. 9% of the people said they were unsure or apathetic about the current status, but hopeful for the return of Glassman.
Yeah.
Where do you think was there a question like this in this year's?
No.
What do you, now that there's been a launch, I don't think it's extremely clear what a broken science is or what MetFix is, but it is I mean, definitely the CrossFit community has one ear up. Like, hey, what's going on over there? What's Greg doing over there?
Yeah.
And he does come on the show every Wednesday, and he's very low key about his responses. He's in typical Greg form. He's not trying to sell anyone anything. He's not pushing anything. He's just chugging along and making his little, diamond over there. The same way he did with CrossFit, right? No marketing, just put out the best product and see what happens. Are you hearing any rumblings anecdotally about what's going on and about the community's response?
Yeah. So we applied for a MetFix affiliation and got denied. I'm also not in the States. But that's okay. No hard feelings.
Don't worry, we'll take care of that for you, Chris.
I'm deeply embarrassed. I was really hoping you wouldn't tell that story. I'm deeply embarrassed that you could get denied. I will call someone I know right when the show.
It's already
been handled. It's already been handled. We're good.
Are you sure you can read, Chris? You must have read it.
Yeah, no, I don't. Maybe. But what was interesting in the rejection letter was 3,000 people applied, and I'm going to bet that a large number of those were current or former affiliates. My attraction is that, I said earlier that Greg's genius is making the complex simple, right? Like taking the universe and reducing it to E equals MC squared. Like that is a mark of genius. And from what I've read about MetFix is it's a further simplification. So you're gaining focus on fixing metabolic health. And while metabolic health was also always like a cornerstone of what CrossFit did, there's a difference between being one cornerstone and being the sole focus of the program. And so if this takes CrossFit and, focuses it squarely on fixing the metabolic problems that we face as a society, then I'm all in on that.
Yeah. And that's exactly the intention, is to take the intellectual powerhouse that of cohort of people that Greg and Emily are able to collect, take all that information, continue to distill it down, and then turn it into a boots on the ground situation, so it could be displayed in practicality inside of gyms.
Yeah. Now that said, I do think, CrossFit HQ is making some smart moves right now with, their partnerships in healthcare and, hopefully the new initiative to sell health insurance to gyms turns out to be as good as, people are hoping it will be.
Is that real? I haven't heard that. That's really on the table?
Yeah. So, probably half of the mentors on our team are longstanding CrossFit affiliates, and we do work with well over 500 gyms worldwide at any given time. And so I do get to hear all of the chatter. And so this is one thing that has people really has their hopes up. And I really hope that CrossFit HQ can fulfill to the level of expectation that they've generated.
Have you heard about this, Sousa, as an affiliate?
No more than I've heard about stuff before that just is kind of like aloof.
Just my recollection of this when I worked at CrossFit was, and maybe the details of this aren't exactly right, but there was talk of getting membership for gyms, health insurance for gyms.
Mhm.
And the way the health insurance would work is it would the way it was sold to Greg is that it would save you so much money that it would pay for your affiliation. That basically health insurance is so expensive that if you got this cohort of healthy people together and you got them their own insurance as a group, their premiums would be so low, or their monthly payments would be so low because of the such few resources we use relative to the general population, that it would lower prices for health insurance, and then it would basically be a wash on your affiliation. You could actually make money, and then eventually it would go from owners to trainers. But there was a problem, I think. I do remember that it would take 3 years to get to that point, and so it would
Mhm.
start out higher, and the gyms would have to make that leap of faith to build that nest egg that would give that process stability. That's my rough understanding of it from when I worked there.
And with Greg at the helm, I think that could have happened, right? Because Greg was a sticky influence. He was an amazing storyteller, and people were willing to believe. It's a much harder proposition if you're a private equity firm in any industry to get people to like believe that if we pay into this thing for 3 years, that there's going to be a benefit to us in the end, especially when
right.
Maybe you're struggling to pay the landlord's rent increase that starts in January.
Right. Chris, going back to the state of the industry, are there any correlates that stood out to you that are outside the control of gym owners that you're like, hey, if you're going to set yourself up for success, like gyms that open at 2,000 square feet seem to succeed 80% more, or gyms that open in epicenters with population densities at a higher level or a lesser level, or if you open a gym like 10 miles away, or it could be even contrary to conventional thought. If you open a gym within a mile of another gym, you're more likely to be successful. Was there anything that stood out to you that you were like, ooh, that's an interesting metric? It's not in anyone's real control, but that's a valuable one.
Well, I think a lot of it is having a plan. So certainly you can be successful in downtown Manhattan. You can be successful in a town with 300 people. You can do either of those things, but you have to be aware of the market and actually have a plan for it. So I think, that's one thing. And then there were actually some other things too in the report that are largely beyond like the affiliate's control, but they're not beyond the affiliate's control to deal with them. So for example, right now, a lot of people are facing rent increases. And as a landlord with some commercial buildings, I understand, like a lot of us couldn't increase the rent for the last few years, and we sustained losses because we were paying mortgages and stuff, and we were locked down, in Canada for like 2 years. And now we have to recover that, right? And so we're raising rates, and a lot of gym owners now are saying, my landlord's raising my rent by $1,000. Okay, you really can't control that. Maybe you can negotiate a little bit. What you can control is your ability to handle that. So if you are profitable, that $1,000 a month raise, that stinks, but you can handle it. If you're not profitable or you're barely profitable, that $1,000 is going to put you out of business. And so it's really incumbent on all of us to run these successful businesses that are resilient, even anti-fragile to these things that we can't control. And I think like that's where Two Brain has probably been the most successful, is when these things come up. CrossFit's raising affiliation fees. Well, that stinks, but we got this. The landlord is raising the rent. Oh, that stinks, but we got this. That's where I'm most proud is when our community handles things that way. Unfortunately, like if you don't have a plan to handle that, if you're mostly volunteering, if you've got 10 shareholders, you're pretty fragile, and any one of those things could kill you, and that's a shame.
And do you think that is the biggest? I mean, I've heard this come from HQ, and I do happen to agree with them. Is the fact that they were saying a lot of the forcing of that hand of like, okay, well, this was the straw that broke the camel's back. We are going to close down now, or we are going to try to sell the gym, is happening through like rent increases and different things like that. Have you been hearing that as well too, as like the number one reason for gyms closing the doors?
Yeah, I mean, so rent is part of it, but it's just like a symptom of the larger problem, which is that gyms are not profitable. And so it's going to be the first problem that comes along. And if the first problem that comes along is, hey, your rent's going up, that's what kills you. It's like you're overweight, you're diabetic, you're very, very sick, you have no mobility. The first germ that you catch could be the one that kills you. And, your gym has to be like fit from a business perspective, or you're just as susceptible as some of your sickest clients are.
And so you're saying that having access to a real estate agent might not fix that problem?
I don't know. I think I'm getting set up for a story here.
No, that was it. That was it. Just a joke at the end.
I mean, this is an example that like people, they point to wealthy people and they say, oh, the rich keep getting richer, but that's not it. Rich people aren't greedy. They just have a plan. So for example, I own the building that my gym is in. Well, that was great for me and my family as kind of like a retirement move, but it's also an amazing hedge because I've owned that building now for a decade, and any other landlord would have raised the rent 3 times. Right? I don't have to.
Yeah. And on top of that too, you have the long-term of the asset. So push comes to shove, you now lease that building out, or you could start to leverage that for other things in the future.
Or you can adjust your rent to however it's favorable for your taxes.
Exactly. Yeah. And so,
right. So because you're the landlord and you're the business owner, so you adjust the rent so you can maximize it on both ends.
Yeah. So for example, we just discovered a tax I didn't know existed. And it was that if you're paying more than $1 million in payroll a year, there's this bonus fun little tax, just a fun one of an extra 2% on every dollar just because you're successful.
So you're punished. You're punished. I just want to say it. So you're punished for running a large business. You don't get a 2% credit for paying over $1 million worth in taxes or over $1 million in payroll. You get punished for that.
Yeah, and this is not a tax on my profitability. It's a tax on my payroll. So I'm actually punished for hiring more people.
Right. So you're incentivized to fire people. It was like that at CrossFit, I remember.
Yeah,
there was one point where there were 3 people who on the payroll we didn't have a job for, and Greg was like, keep them. And then the accountants are like, hey, those 3 people, we're going to get sued because you can't do this, this, and this with those 3 people. And he's like, Greg's like, that only hurts those people. They're like, it's just the way the law, it's set up in California, the way the taxes are set up.
Yeah.
Crazy. I mean, sorry, go ahead.
Knowledge of taxes is probably the best, fastest path to more profitability. Is like you have to have a strategy for this. And back to the building, like that was part of my tax strategy for many, many years, was that excess profits just got pumped into the asset faster. And tax law in Canada is even more convoluted than tax law in the States. But again, nobody's coming to save you. You got to figure this stuff out.
Yeah.
Hey, so people think about that. That's there's 1,000 things like that, but that's when the media says, when you hear a politician say he's going to lower corporate taxes, and people say, hey, you're only helping the rich. There's an example right there where you're only hurting the middle class and the poor. Because if Chris's payroll is $1 million dollars and $1,600,000, he's not going to. All he's going to do is just cut that $600. And if he stays over that $1 million mark, he's going to have to pay an extra 2%. The wisdom is to fire an employee.
Nobody's watching that.
Not to pay, but it's the truth. It's not to pay that. It's not to pay. It's not. I mean, if you're just barely over that $1 million, there's no fucking point in helping the people around you when it's going to hurt everyone else on your team, because you're going to have to pay an extra $20,000 a year in taxes. It's insane. I don't know how this stuff happens where we incentivize people for their, or de-incentivize people. We punish people for their success. It's wild.
Mm-hmm.
In what we saw in Canada, especially Ontario, in the last 5 years, is that the minimum wage has gone up from $14.60 to close to $18 now. And so what that's meant is that, there's a lot of people working in gyms for $18 a class. Well, those people are not going to be happy working for minimum wage anymore. So it pushes everything up. And so the gym owner has all these extra costs going on. They've got inflation going on. They've got these extra taxes going on. If you're still running the same rates that you were 5 years ago, like, you're losing ground. And unfortunately, that could be the thing that kills you.
I signed up for it. I don't know what it is, and someone from Two Brain called me immediately. They're on it. Awesome. Hey, we've had probably, I don't know, I'm making this up, 20 to 40 affiliate owners who've all used Two Brain, and
That's
every
great.
single one of them, there's a question I ask somewhere in there is, do you wish you would have signed up before you opened the gym? And all of them say yes. They wish they would have signed up before they even opened the gym. They wish they would have gotten their location and Two Brain at the same time, hand in hand. So
yeah, me too. Can I just comment on that caller, that whatever poster there? So one of the interesting things that you'll see in the state of the industry. Yeah. Thanks, CK Kevin. One of the things you'll see is like the average response time. There it is right there. Matt knew where I was going. So this was a shocking stat to me. So 14.4% of gyms admit to never even returning a phone call from somebody that's interested. So let's just like put this in perspective here, right? This person has said, I've had it. I'm fed up. I need to change my life. What are my options? Okay, I'm going to call this gym. And that for most people is as scary as, being like a 13-year-old boy calling a girl to your first high school dance. Like, it's terrifying. Oh, they didn't answer the phone. I'm going to leave a message. An hour passes, no call back. I guess I won't wait around anymore. I'll go to the grocery store. Maybe they'll call before I get back. Haven't called by the next morning. Haven't called by the next day. And they never call you. What message is that person getting? They're getting the message, F off, we don't want you. You don't fit here. You don't belong. It's not just like, oh, well, they must be really busy. It's no, they've turned their back on me. And for a lot of those people, they've had the experience of somebody turning their back on them earlier in their life, and you've just done it to them too. And so when somebody contacts you, it is important that you extend your hand right away and say, welcome, we've got you. Imagine you're in line at Starbucks and, Matt's got a cool shirt on. It says Phoenix. He told me it was from this cool gym, but my watch is also called Phoenix, spelled with an F. And I tap you on the shoulder. I'm like, oh man, that's such a cool t-shirt. And instead of turning to talk to me, you turn the other way and you obviously don't want to have a conversation. How do I feel? And that's exactly how people feel when they call your gym and you don't respond.
Chris, it's totally that works in all the businesses, right? So but you're at a coffee shop and you order, and if every 2 minutes the barista looks up at you and goes, I see you. That's all they have to say.
Yeah.
Or they say, what was your drink? And you tell them, be like, okay, I see it's in the line. I'm so sorry. We're really busy. You'll let them, if you wait 20 minutes for coffee, you'd be furious. But if they look at you and acknowledge you 3 times in that 20 minutes, you're cool as shit. You're just over there fooling around on your phone. They're busy. You get a little empathy and compassion for them. It's crazy how little it takes to settle someone down. So little.
Yeah. I mean, when we travel with our Tinker group, there's 100 of the top gym owners in the world in this group, and we all go for coffee together in the morning. Yeah. And so we'll walk up to some local cafe, 5 minutes to 7, we're knocking on the door and the staff just goes, oh shit. But, right. But like the first thing that we do, the good cafes, they'll come out and be like, hey guys, there's a lot of you. We're going to do whatever we can. And we're like, yeah, cool. Yep. And, from there, it's all good. But there is another number there that I'd really like to talk about too. And that's like the average wage. Okay. So I just got a text from somebody who's really kind of an idol to me. Let's call him Bill H. And he's like, the industry average for, is that too obvious?
No, I don't even know what you're talking about. I was laughing at some meme someone sent me.
Okay, good.
I wasn't even listening to you.
So the average industry income is around $30,000 a year for a coach, right? And like that's abysmally low. That's way too low, but it's actually coming up. And so when we started doing this, the average income for a coach at a CrossFit gym, if you looked on like Glassdoor or whatever, was around $23,000 a year. So in the last 5 years, that's come up to 30. Fantastic news for the coaches. We're not there yet. That needs to come up even higher because this is a profession. That might be a challenge for the owners. If you're having trouble retaining coaches, well, you probably need to raise your rates. It's not a marketing problem because you need to pay these coaches. I don't know about you, Matt, but like the reason I founded my gym was I wasn't making enough working for somebody else. And I said, I've got a wife and a brand new baby and a house. I've got to go start my gym. Like gym owners are all millionaires. I have no choice. And, you know, I really think like it's important that you have to be able to pay your staff a good amount of money, and that means you have to be more profitable.
Yeah,
So,
and there's two things I would like to piggyback on this. Sorry for the scrolling, you guys, if you see this as I'm
You're
going up
good.
and
You're
down.
good. It's a lot of pages. It's good.
But I just wanted to just kind of highlight Chris's point there. So if we go back to the lead time response, right? So if you just take, so let's just look here in big group, right? So we have 15%, almost 16% got no call back at all. That was just what you were talking about, Chris. Another 6% of that got it in the same week. So if you were to take those two right away, you could say that you could probably increase your revenue by 22% if you just picked up the phone and called faster. Because some of those people probably aren't even coming in or aren't even getting contact. And you have to, as the gym owner, assume that every single person that's calling is going to be your next 10-year member on the other end of that line. Right? Because if you knew, and then this is why length of engagement is important, because if I knew that if I picked up the phone, had a great conversation with that person, got them in, started helping them out, started helping them achieve their goals and making their life better around them, I could now say, hey, this, and the average for us is like 3 years and 3 months. And so it's like, if I could get that person in and we could start to deliver some results for them and get them integrated into our community, chances are I'm going to have them for the next 3 years. Right. And so I just wanted to point that out because there's nothing more under your control that's even easier than just picking up the phone and making a call back, especially if you could stay in the under an hour or 1 to 3 hours. I mean, I heard this phrase, I forget where it is, but it's money loves speed and wealth loves time. And the quicker I can get those calls and get my people in for the no sweat and get them into a trial class or get them into a startup or whatever it is that I do, the faster I'm going to start turning those potential clients into dollars for me, which is going to be really important into being able to pay my staff a livable wage. Like we made that effort. I made that effort here about a year ago to bring in a GM and to give him something that he could actually live off of, pay rent in California, you know, have some groceries, hell, maybe even go out to dinner on a weekend. If we get crazy, I don't know. But in order to do that, you have to have some sort of game plan. And even if you invest, like we use Gym Lead Machine with Kilo, and even that small investment, like if you look at the percentage that I just said, and you had some sort of software that was able to have some sort of automation to deliver right away for your people that are coming in, that helps a ton. You know that they got handled. You know that they're going down your client journey system, and you're able to field those a lot easier. And if you paid, you know, $300, $400 a month for one of those, but you captured part of that 22% that is just going out the door because you're simply not contacting them, that's a huge turnaround. And so having that game plan is really important. But I think us as an industry too, we just have to continue to move towards being professional so we could professionalize the trainer and pay them livable wages.
Professional and what's crazy is when you think of professional, you think of less personalization, but even more personalization. By that I mean more like customer to owner contact. Those stats are actually, I'm going to suggest that you just showed, are way worse than they show. And here's the reason. If I call a gym and I want to sign up, if you don't call me back within 15 minutes, I may have gotten cold feet and got scared. I may have found somewhere else. I may have already be like at the donut shop with my friends. I may have already taken off to the bar. I'm guessing that each second you wait that you don't call them, it actually gets worse and worse and worse. And these numbers are shocking. It almost makes you think to some point they want to fail if you're not calling people back or you don't have a method in answering your phone.
Yeah. And automating it is a huge. We made this joke that like it was like, hey, text them enough to where they like tell you to stop. Like, let's see what happens on the other end of that, right?
Yeah. You have to care enough about people to get over your own BS. You know, it's the stuff that's in your head that's stopping that call. But a few years ago, I was trying to find the jiu-jitsu instructor for Sevi's kids. It took me 8 days. And there was a specific person I was looking for, right? Like if I was just looking for any jiu-jitsu instructor, you know, in Scotts Valley or Santa Cruz or whatever, I would have called somebody else.
Impossible. It's impossible to find them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's impossible to find them. They're strictly stuck in word of mouth.
Wow. gym owners can't do that anymore. And if you want to
Right.
know like what that phone call is actually worth to you, you can scroll to the LTV section of that, Matt. So, 1998, I was trying to break into the fitness industry. I had maybe 5 clients, and I was working at a treadmill store, and I was talking to my boss, and the phone rang, and I didn't sprint to answer it. I didn't get it in time. And she said, Chris, that's a $10,000 phone call. You always answer the phone no matter what. Well, we can tell you what that phone call is worth because we know what the lifetime value of a client actually is. And it's pretty significant. So if we go to the LTV section here, Matt.
Yeah.
Keep going
What's
down.
that stand? Lifetime. What's that?
Lifetime value.
Okay.
Yeah. So your value to them is like 5 years of happy life, added to their lifespan. Their value to you is like $1,300 to $1,700. So if you look at this page,
not to mention other people, the free marketing they give and other people they might bring in, that doesn't even take into account for that.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Great. That's a great point. Yep.
Yeah. That's the next step. So, Wodify is great at figuring this out. And what they did was they took like, here's the average number of people in a gym. Here's how much they actually spend, including like bottles of water, memberships, t-shirts, all that stuff. And what you'll see there is the US, the average client is worth about $1,380. Now this is all in USD, like we convert everything, but, that tells you like the average client in the US is actually more valuable than any other place on earth. They stick around longer and they pay a little bit more. And so if you're a US based gym and you're not calling this person, you're saying that $1,300 doesn't matter to me, let alone that life doesn't matter enough to me to call back. So, I mean, if you're busy, you're out with your kids, it's 5 p.m. on a Friday. Okay. Maybe you're not going to call them right away. I get it. It's 8 p.m. You're unwinding. Send them a text. Can I call you in the morning? Like pretend it's somebody that you already know and care about and just treat them like a human.
Chris, I'm going to shift here really quick. Speaking of friends that you might have who are also in the business of health and fitness, when you talk to these people and you hear there's a shift in sales of the way they're selling things, not the way they are, but what they're selling, does that affect you? Because there was a time, and you're closer to Bill than I am, but there was a time when every Tom, Dick, and Harry was buying a barbell and a set of rings. And I'm sure that the perspective that Rogue has on the industry is quite unique and very valuable, right? Because if they're all of a sudden selling lat pull down machines, they know there's been a shift. Do you talk to him about that so that gyms can maybe accommodate with different kinds of trends with equipment?
Yeah. So I could never speak for Bill. Bill is a genius.
Right.
But I did get to spend a couple of days at Rogue a couple months ago. Bill was kind enough to host our top level gyms and our mentor team for a few days. And I spent a couple of hours sitting and talking to him. And I learned a ton. I mean, first, the flight to visit Bill in Columbus was insightful because I used to walk through the Detroit airport and I'd run into maybe 3 to 5 people wearing a CrossFit shirt, right? And if there was an opportunity, I'd say hi. This time I ran into 3 people wearing a Rogue shirt.
Yep.
That was very telling.
Yep. I see Rogue shirts all over popular media, football game. Now you see that stuff everywhere.
Literally a Rogue shirt on underneath here.
Yeah.
So that was interesting, but also, we're sitting there and I'm looking at his machines and like, okay, there's a lot of lat pull downs here. And to me, it just makes sense because, at my gym, we have a lat pull down. I think that the best scale for somebody who wants to get a pull up is like a prone row in the rings. But before that, the most obvious scale is a lat pull down. So we use that type of equipment. The Rogue stuff is absolutely gorgeous. And it's no surprise that he's selling more stuff to in-home users now than ever before because it's over-engineered. It's not like the old Life Fitness thing where you had the 3-inch pulley.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. So you're saying that's another component to the trend. You're saying it's like sales to gyms versus individuals. Also,
I mean, he does both. I mean, he's
right.
He does amazing things, and it's inspiring just going to the factory. If you're anywhere near Columbus, like you've got to go.
But that's another trend he has access to, say, because he's seen the percentage over the years of sales to gyms versus sales to individuals. I didn't even think of that distinction. That's all I was saying.
They might be the biggest fitness manufacturer in the world right now. I'm not sure, but it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, just walking through his warehouse. But what's really profound is that, where in the past a Life Fitness or a Cybex would have been selling like a recumbent bike in the house, all these people are buying power cages, bumper plates, pull-up bars. That's insane. And like, no matter what happens to CrossFit in the future, CrossFit can hold its head up high and say, that is the effect that we've had on the industry.
Right.
The gyms are amazing. The people who come to the games are incredible, all that stuff. But the average person in their average house is getting a rig from Rogue. Like, that didn't happen without CrossFit.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. And yeah, that stuff is just so gorgeous. I want to own all of it.
Yeah, it's great. I get so many I see this pop up on my Instagram so much now that it's clear, and I used to never see this stuff ever.
Yep.
It was all just, ropes and rings and, tape and chalk, but now look at this thing. Do you think we're going to see a trend to seeing more of this stuff in CrossFit gyms?
Yeah, I hope so, because this is familiar equipment. It's something that people are used to seeing in commercial gyms. And I think, we've gone from the days when you've got these early adopters and, people want to jump in and throw up and rip their hands in their first workout, right? Now you kind of have to ease them into it. And so if you start with, here's what you know how to use. The reason that most commercial gyms have lat pull downs and just lots of machines and no free weights is because a newcomer walking into the gym can stand there for 2 minutes and know exactly what to do and not feel dumb. And this has always been a challenge, and this is why we meet with people one-on-one before they start with our gym, is so that we could explain, where's all the equipment? Like, what's that box for? What is that rope? The first woman that ever walked into my gym, her name is Tiffany. The first thing she sees is this power cage, and I've got chains draped over the end of the barbells. And I could say her last name. I still remember this vividly. She goes, "What the fuck is that?" Turns around and walks out. And I never saw her again, right? But if you've got Rogue equipment with lat pull downs on it, people are going to say, okay, I kind of get it. And if they see other people doing things that they think they can do, they'll say, maybe this is for me, So I love it. I think it's so important.
Yeah, and I just think that when Bill Katie brings something like this to market, like the attention to detail there is so great. I mean, look at the ability to raise up and down. They have that little notch cut out so you could see which number it's on, so you can make it easier to like match them up and like those type of things like that. And I guarantee you, I've never used one of those Rogue pulley systems before. But I bet you that thing is smooth and works really well relative to the Life Core traditional ones that you would see inside of a Globo gym. So I think it's great too, because I wouldn't be surprised if we started seeing those racks and stuff in more and more of that type of setting, which would be great. Which would be great for Rogue. But I wonder how much of that, if you look at like the sales versus individual garage versus gyms and stuff, you might. It's kind of interesting to compare, because as a gym, you couldn't necessarily, like I couldn't buy one of those because with the class size that I have ranging from anywhere from 8 to 25, it's like, how many of those would I need? And what would
I think those are expensive. I think those are like 10 grand.
Yeah, dude, exactly.
Loaded. Yeah,
exactly. So I still think that if you're a gym and everything else, you'll probably still be getting more economically available equipment that you could use across multiple people at one time. So I'm very curious as to why they've seen a lot more of these pulley cells and which type of people they're selling them to.
I think word has spread. I mean, these guys are Rogues in hospitals, they're in universities, they're on cruise ships, they're everywhere that the average person goes. And this can only help CrossFit gyms too, right? Like, I was on this cruise ship and I did this thing and it said Rogue on it. Now here I am, and there's that Rogue thing again. I think that's good for gyms. Like, there's always been press about how much Rogue benefited from CrossFit. And Bill, I think, is going to be the first to say that. But the reality is that CrossFit has benefited even more from Rogue and continues to benefit from everything that Rogue does, even just from having this guy in the ecosystem. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And I mean, think about it. Before Rogue, right? Like I still was in that transition phase where like half of my pull-up bars were the galvanized plumbing piping.
Yes,
And
sir.
then like the other one was that
Yep.
first freestanding Rogue rig, right? And it was the first time that all that stuff was available in one place. And without having that underlying support for the ecosystem of affiliates, there's no way that growth would have been possible, because you just wouldn't have had the access for equipment to serve all your members, right? Like it just wasn't there before. And so, yeah, they've made just an incredible contribution to the space.
Did you ride one of the bikes when you were there, Chris?
No, there were two up in Bill and Katie's offices, but
Yeah.
I should have tried driving it down the stairs or something. But, you know, I'll say, I know like there's a lot of people who listen to this show who are kind of CrossFit OG. If you go to a Rogue Invitational event, and they just had theirs in Scotland, Aberdeen last weekend.
Did you go?
No, it's my son's birthday.
Oh.
We sent a team. They had an amazing time. But it feels like,
so you did go. Two Brain. I mean, you didn't go.
Two
but
Brain
went. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. We were so thrilled to do anything with Rogue, but it feels like CrossFit 2014, you know, at a Rogue event, and I loved it. And when I went last year in Austin, I just felt like, okay, the movement is alive and well. It will carry on, you know, no matter what private equity is doing. They had just announced the rate increase and stuff, and no matter, you know, who the owner of CrossFit is, who holds the CrossFit baseball card, like the method will survive, the ethos will survive, the community is going to be alive and strong. And I just felt like a rededicated self with purpose to serving that community and helping, you know, from where we are. And even if CrossFit HQ wants to push Two Brain to the outside, that's fine. It doesn't matter, you know.
Is that happening?
Oh, that's been happening for 10 years. I'm just used to it. That's fine.
Oh.
No.
It's your homeostatus.
But we're better there, right? Because like if you work for HQ, you can't say, hey, the Emperor's not wearing any clothes. We sit in this like very privileged position where I get to be friends with people like you. And I can say that. And we've seen
that. We've seen people's messaging change, whether they're on the inside or the outside of the company. As soon as they fall onto the inside, their message changes in a way that's seems to lack a lot of sincerity. And I think you're definitely better off on the outside.
Just towing the line if you're on the inside.
There was something I was going to ask you guys. This was totally off topic. What is that thing on these machines? That's that roller. What is that roller I keep seeing on their machines? This thing. What is this thing?
You got to share your screen.
I can't see it.
What is that black thing that looks like it's? What is that? Do you see that?
I'm not sure, but I want one.
Yeah,
I know, right?
But I need that whole entire setup.
I know.
In my
add to cart.
Hey, I will actually go. Thank God that I don't think that thing will fit in my garage, because if it did, I'm afraid I'd buy one. What is that?
If I were to guess, I think it's probably adjustable. It's probably for hamstring curls. Oh yeah, I said it. And,
thanks, Sean.
And the hip thrusts, because you could lay your back on that with the barbell on your lap, and then you lift up, and so that protects your back as you drive the barbell up.
So hamstring curls, you would lay down on your stomach and put your ankles underneath there, and then come up.
Yeah, on that bench that's there, depending on how low that drops. Yeah.
And this is a squat rack. To God, this thing is nice.
So what's really interesting here is that Rogue is driving innovation within the community. Like 2 years ago, if we'd been talking about lat pull downs, it would have been like sacrilege, you know, heresy.
Right.
Because I don't think that there is anybody at CrossFit, but also at any of these franchises, who's doing that, who's saying,
that's a really good point.
Let's try this, you know.
Greg would have come out hard against this thing. Now no one's going to stop that. And I'm not saying he's right or wrong, but now no one's going to stop that. You're right. The messaging is now coming strong from Rogue, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that bar, if it's what you tuck your ankles under, and you know, it replaces a GHD. So, I mean, I think it's valuable, right? But we have to be open to new science. When I started CrossFit, there was a lot of that experimentation going on, right? Like the virtual snow shoveling and the ball throw in the games, and like there was parkour and swimming. And, you know, eventually, like as we gain focus, we lose scope, and that's how science works. But at some point you have to say like, wait, this is a valuable addition. Zone 2 training might actually help some people. Putting a bar across the rig might help people substitute who don't have room for a GHD in their garage. It's lucky that Bill is the kind of guy that he is, because he can introduce innovation like this that doesn't harm the original movement.
Yeah. And if you were to think about it too, like with going back to the lat pull down, which we were like poking at, that would have never existed earlier. If you were to take any trainer that's been around for a length of time and you said, hey, you have strict pull-ups in today's workout, we have 5 of these lat pull downs. Would you rather have people scale in a band on their pull-up or go use the lat pull down? All of us would agree the lat pull down would be better for them to strengthen their back and to achieve a strict pull-up.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, and
lat pull down.
Also, too, looking at that one more time, Savon, I think you maybe actually face forward, slide your legs underneath it, and if you do a heavy lat pull down, that almost would probably work as like a little seatbelt to keep you attached.
Oh,
to the
yeah,
seat.
There you go.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing with when they build stuff like that, they make it so functional that there's just no waste. Like everything that's there is there intentionally and with purpose. And with that being said, I think like what you were saying earlier, Chris, like if you're going to open a gym, you have to be just as intentional as Rogue is with their engineering. And if you look at this metric here, I'm going to swap that out real quick, Sevon, and we have like the average attended class at 6.3 people or whatever. So such as called 6 people per class. Like if you're listening to this and you are hoping to open a gym one day or considering to make that move relatively soon, or you're looking at buying a gym, this is where you need to start. Because if you look at your number of people that are coming in, there's a couple of metrics that go unnoticed. And we talked about it in the school platform, which is like you could take down your expenses to how much it costs for you to run that particular class. And then you could take the average members that attend that class and you could do the math on the difference. Say, is this class profitable? Do I need to have all these classes, or should I start to shed a few to save on labor and other things like that? Right. The other thing is with looking at this size is you could start to say, how much equipment do I need? What size building should I start out with? Because it's really easy to have these grand visions of everything. And one example was like, we had the first facility we had was way too large from when I had started. And I was so gun-ho that I was like, my gym is going to open at 5:30 in the morning. It's not going to close till 7:30 p.m. And it turns out that between 1 and 3, nobody works out.
That's right.
So between 10 and like noon, nobody really works out. And it just ended up screwing me over as I'm sitting there twiddling my thumbs, not even able to leave to go get lunch. Right. So to have some sort of game plan and to have something as valuable as what we have here, you could really chart a very clear vision of opening a gym or starting a gym there.
From our survey, the median big group gym costs to open is $50K. Average is 92,000.
That's pulled up by like the global gyms, which cost 300, right? I opened my gym for $16,000 and I wasted 2/3 of that on stuff that we just never used. You can start a gym today on a credit card with a barbell, with maybe one kettlebell and a box that you build yourself. Eventually, you're going to want to buy some stuff from Rogue and open up and stuff. But, early on, Greg admonished people that like you expand when people are doing burpees on the sidewalk. You don't start with something that's going to drive you into a serious debt hole right in the beginning. And if you look at like the average gym size here, you'll see their square footage is not massive, but they're enormously successful because they know that they're going to have 6 or 7 people in a class. They're going to charge appropriately. They're going to staff appropriately. They're not going to waste money, running a class for 2 people where they're actually like losing money.
Yep.
And they're going to have a plan.
Hey, I do want to say this. This is completely old school. But just from walking around town, and my wife doesn't spend a lot of time walking around town, but just from driving the kids around, My wife always has at least 1 to 3 clients for the last 5 years that she teaches CrossFit to in our garage. Now, she doesn't charge any of them, but these are she does nothing but walk around. She does nothing but, you know what I mean, get in and out of the car. She's at the side of the pool wrapping a towel around the kid, and some mom will come up, and it's here every week. I hear the garage door open, and here come the 1 to 3 moms. And that's starting a gym. That's with zero effort. That's just, my wife is not outspoken. She's not, doesn't consider herself a trainer, you know, but, that method of starting that small is possible. You can go to the park and work out yourself, and someone will come up to you and be like, "What are you doing?" And, I mean, you know, you're not going to be cranking in the 100,000, but it's there. The spark is always there. If you're a practitioner of CrossFit, people are going to come up to you and be like, "Yo, what's going on?"
And especially if you look approachable, like your wife is very approachable.
Very approachable. Yeah.
And I'm going to bet that once somebody says, "I want you to train me," like they stay with her for a decade.
Right. All the people who stay with her. Yeah. And even when they move out of town 5 years later, when they're back visiting, they come train with her. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So,
but
I mean,
it's a small clientele, and she doesn't make money from it, but I'm just saying the spark is still there. The OG spark.
Absolutely. Yeah. The OG spark is definitely there. And if you approach things like an OG and say, like, I'm going to bootstrap, you know, one of the first articles in CrossFit Journal was like how to make your own stuff, you know, and even Bill started off making rings because he's just like, I could do that better, you know, and now he's got one of the biggest fitness manufacturer in the world. I mean, that's the key, is like people think like, I'm going to jump into this. I'm going to skip 5 steps. I'm going to open up a 10,000 square foot gym. This guy's promising me 30 leads a month. This person's telling me I need to have 300, 400 members. Like, the reason that we publish this guide is to shine some light on the actual truth that you can open up with 1,200 square feet, a box you made yourself. You can pour pebbles into old basketballs and make your own. Like, that will still work. You can open up a gym that changed people's lives, and you can put it on a credit card. You don't need the 90,000, right? You can do it with your dog running around upstairs. That's fine.
Right.
Like, it will still work, and get yourself stable, and then build up from there and grow a little bit at a time. Don't try and skip steps, because that's what kills gyms. They get into this massive hole where they've got this massive payment. They're willing to sell their souls to get one client. They'll do anything to make $1, and they wind up hating the industry and quitting.
Yeah. And it's funny too, because if you talk to a lot of gym owners that have been for a long time, and you say, hey, if this all went to dust and you had to restart back over, like, what would you do differently? And at least for myself, the way that I'd answer is like, okay, if I didn't want to build something really grand, or I didn't have, you know, some, you know, huge vision here, but I just really wanted to have a great business that served my community and did it really well, like, I would do exactly what you said. I'd probably go to like a 1,200, 2,000 square foot facility. I would do semi-private group training. I would do a full nutrition, like, wraparound service. I would charge a really high premium, and I'd have like 50 clients that I'd be making $150,000 a year, and I'd be done with working by like noon, because you would serve them all in the morning or different things like that. And so you could make yourself a really great like lifestyle business doing just exactly that, but not unless you have some sort of game plan ahead of time.
The hard-hitting questions from Jake Chapman. How old is Chris Cooper? I can't decide if he's an old 30-year-old or a young 47-year-old.
I'm 48, so thanks, Jake. Yeah.
He's 27, asshole.
I'll take it. I'll take it. Yeah, man. Thank you. Thank you.
He lived a hard life in Canada. He's 27. Okay. We're going to play a couple videos here. We'll start with the first honorable mention. This one did not win. It definitely could have won. By the way, thank you for all the submissions. This is the affiliate video contest brought to you by Two Brain. Here we go. The winner here will get 5,000. This person gets 0, except just some love. Here we go.
Wow. Oh my goodness. I'm playing these, correct? Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. All right.
I'm Jen. I am Lucy's mom. Our world was kind of flipped upside down in 2023 when we were in a motor vehicle accident, which left my daughter a paraplegic.
My name is Lucy, and my age is 11, and I'm a T4, so like right here.
One thing was really clear, that she wanted to be an athlete again. First day of school, she was just hit with failure after failure, and realizing that the people around her didn't view her as a competitor.
they didn't quite understand. That was pretty frustrating stuff. When I first came in here, I was a little bit nervous because I had never been really in a gym before. But when I came into this gym, it was different because it was like everyone's welcome. If you're in a chair, if you're not in a chair, no matter what.
CrossFit Watchtower very quickly became our home.
It's really important because it helps with my independence and not just with like strength. Like I can pick something else that's heavier, but just, I don't know, I just feel a lot more confident and just a lot more happy and stuff.
It's amazing the community that supports her. And I wouldn't even just say supports her, but supports our whole family. Here, she is a competitor. She figures it out. And that's really because of the confidence and the independence and the strength work that she's done here at Watchtower.
All of the videos from Watchtower
That
were
didn't win.
amazing.
Dude, Chris, there is so many of them that were like that like just trying to narrow down was just it was overwhelming. And when I was watching a lot of these, especially the very first watch party that I did when it was live, like, I don't know why, but something really, it like came over me and I had this, just like strong conviction that I was like, fuck it, I'm dying on this hill. Like I was getting a lot of kickback. Like I used to kind of have this in with CrossFit, some of the people inside there. Then they recently kind of like pushed me out. And then for a little bit, I was doing a lot of the stuff with Metfix, and that kind of went silent for a little bit. And it was funny because on both sides, people were like, oh, like he's bought in, like he's bought and paid for by Metfix. Other people were like, well, what is he doing? Is he kind of on CrossFit side? And finally I was like, dude, I am here to serve the affiliates, the people that are inside those gyms, changing those people's lives. Most of those gyms you will never hear of. Most of those people you might never hear of, but it's happening all the time. And anyhow, for whatever reason, it just like, it stuck with me. And even that was a couple weeks ago. And I still feel very strongly about contributing and giving everything I can to continue to fight for the cause here.
Quick note, no one has surfed the CrossFit ecosystem and the politics and better than Shannon and Kevin. Like we are so lucky to have them in the community. That they just great people. Anyway, just wanted to say that.
Yeah.
All right. Next runner up.
So this one won a popular vote by our members of the Sevon podcast community, and actually got the most views from the members as well here. So this is this video, and here we go.
I'm Christy Minato. I am a just recently coined 45-year-old. For over the past 8 years, I've kind of been struggling to find myself again. I was just kind of hitting that low of like not finding that happiness within myself that I've been looking for a long time. I just broke, and I was just like, you know what? It's time to focus on me. I've been coming here now very consistently, watching my diet finally, and really starting to find myself again, find my groove again. And honestly, this gym has provided me such an outlet of positivity. It's provided me an outlet of finding myself laughing again and just like having fun with athletics. It's been such a long time. I really feel that has helped me progress within this CrossFit gym. I have found friends for life. I've never felt so good about myself, my body image. So a lot more than just strength has come out of this. It's, the growth of my mind and understanding that this is my body. God gave me a strong body. It's about damn time I tap into that and let the world see that I'm proud of it. I'm not going to hide behind big baggy clothes because my shoulders might be bigger than yours. It's just part of the game.
Super passionate guy. That's Joe Nels' gym, right?
Yep. Yeah, Jessica made those.
Yeah.
Wow. When she said it's about damn time, I just got like a shiver.
Yep.
Amazing.
You're going to open another gym here in a second, Chris. Hold on.
I love my gym.
I know you do.
No.
Okay.
Hold on, just answer this. Jake, we didn't add anything to these videos. These were all done, edited, made, everything by the gyms and the creators inside of them.
But all the positive comments come from you guys. Like I like Heidi and just hating on Bryson here. anything Bryson touches goes to shit.
The poor guy is not on this show. It has nothing to do with any of this, and he's just catching strays out there.
One of the regulars on the show just gets beat down on. It's better not to be Bryson. Well, thank you, Heidi. This feels very inclusive in this group. Very sweet of you guys. Thank you.
Okay, so we got one more honorable mention, and then we can get into
a third honorable mention. Okay.
Yeah, because we had the two when I sent you to kind of pick through, and then when I was going back through last night, I mean, I just really wanted to go through.
I know, crazy.
It was impossible for me to pick. I mean, Chris, the stories, yeah. I'm just really, really thankful for everybody who did it. I'm really happy that you guys all did it. I hope that this inspired you to pick up a camera to tell these stories. And we'll still continue to play them on the Sevon podcast here. We'll slowly release them on the channel over time. We'll play
even the shit ones
here.
will play. Even the ass ones will play.
So everybody's gonna get a lot of airtime with these over the course of this year. Okay, last honorable mention. Here we go.
I'm having Bryson on tonight.
You should. Yeah. D team. Jeez Louise.
So 7 doctors walked into the room, and at that point I knew something was going on. I was like, what's up, guys? We looked at the video of your results and found out that what you have is what's called myocardial bridge. This is an issue where the blood flow does not go throughout your body, and the only really true cure is open heart surgery. I was also told there that it's after the surgery, or even if I don't have the surgery, I'll probably never exercise again. January 27, 2023, I had open heart surgery. The first week or two was just really bedridden and trying to get myself moving around. Never been in depression before, but it was a very scary depression that I didn't know where I was going to go with it. I didn't know what to do in my life. I was kind of contemplating, what is life all about? Why am I alive? And I got to the point where I said, I can't let this depression kill me. I'm going to take care of it. 3 months into CrossFit, which was 6 months post-surgery, I was doing things that no other person that had open heart surgery ever had done. One of my friend's sister had open heart surgery. I saw her 6 months after mine, and she says, look at you, you're absolutely amazing. She's like, it took me 1 year before I could start moving around. And I said, are you kidding me? I'm doing CrossFit. I said, I'm pulling up, I'm lifting, I'm running, energy is up. I came to the realization that this was going to be the rest of my life. I was going to be in CrossFit.
Wow.
That's the undisputed champion out of all the CrossFit gyms that have ever been around for media. All their media is crazy. CrossFit 845, man. Seriously, Miss Jenna, love you to death. Maybe just hire that guy, that gym, to do media for CrossFit. That guy's out of control, dude.
Yeah.
All their stuff is nuts.
Yeah, Dave is great.
So those were all amazing. And if you're watching this and you own CrossFit Watchtower, Kenosha, I think was the second, and 845, like, get in touch with me, and I'd just love to give you a summit ticket or something and meet you in person. Like, you're doing amazing work out there, and thank you for your service.
Yeah,
awesome. Thank
that
you.
is awesome.
Chris getting moved.
I'm telling you,
I'm a pretty big wimp, but it's not hard to make me choke up.
There's no wimps. There's no wimps north of the border. Except for your leader. Okay. Easy, Sevy. All right. Okay. Third place.
Third place.
If you love it, I take credit. If you don't, Susan's fault. Susan did all, guys.
Sorry, go ahead and say it again.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
All right, here we go.
嗨，我莉莉渊雾，我65岁，我本职护理师，我有在教热舞、有氧哦。我在文化中心教了10几年了。我会进来 CrossFit， 因为是 Coach 瑞在美国毕业典礼的时候，他带我去看一场美国的比赛。结果我一看，这个比赛人做的吗？后来 Coach 瑞一直鼓励我，因为我腰椎开过刀，然后我年龄那么大了，我可以做吗 ？Coach 瑞说：“妈妈，你可以。”接触 CrossFit 运动以后，我才知道它是多元的，很新奇，很迷人，让我天天都期待今天的workout会做什么，然后天天跟年轻人一起运动，我的心境也年轻了。进来 CrossFit 运动6年了，对我的心肺功能、核心肌群、骨骼都太有帮助了。做起家事， 逛街、提重物，轻松自在。我希望我这个年龄层的人一起运动，一起拼健康。
Yeah, that's all I saw
it.
too. I saw what a supportive husband. I like how her boyfriend's standing by her the whole time.
Yeah, that's what I saw too. I love that guy. He's just like, yes, dear.
Yeah, we
spine injury and getting at it.
Amazing.
Yeah,
so cool.
Third
Where was
place-
that gym?
that was that came all the way from
Yeah, say the name of that town.
yeah, it was it was from
Hey, I'm glad you
Taiwan,
chose them
China.
because there's no way we can get them the prize money. There's no way they Venmo or anything. We'll just pocket that.
Yeah, that's gonna be routed right to my new pulley system from Rogue in my garage.
What is the name of that gym? Do you know?
Yeah, it's X-Ray CrossFit, and hold on, let me X-Ray CrossFit, and I believe they're in like Taiwan.
Wow, fantastic.
So that came all the way from Taiwan. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce the city. No,
Good for
we're not
them.
even trying to pronounce it.
Wow, I love
yeah.
this. Whoa, fitness. Wow.
Okay.
Wow. All right.
So we liked it. That one came all the way from very far, and it was funny because what they did is they shot that. So the first one, you guys see the supportive husband, but if you watch the other videos, he talks and she doesn't. So they kind of shot it at the same time there. Yeah.
Better this way.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah. So they were.
I think she's my girl's nail tech. Racism strong in this one. I like that. I mean, yeah, great. Thank you.
Jeez Louise. Okay, we got to behave. Chris is on the show. Come on, guys.
I know. I told myself I'm ending the show when Chris gets off today so that I don't do anything to ruin this show.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. It's from Taipei, Ashen Fernando. That is from Taipei.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Congrats,
That's
man.
third place winner of the affiliate Two Brain Business video contest.
Changing lives.
All right, should we do second place?
Yes, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Here we go.
No tengo más opción que tirarme al suelo. Lo he dado todo. Esto no me asusta. He pasado por esto antes. Como en el primer entrenamiento, varios años atrás. Mi coach ha sabido cómo exigirme. A veces más, a veces menos. Mis compañeros de clase pasan por lo mismo. Nunca pensé que a mis 44 años podría hacer esto. Y lo voy a seguir haciendo, hasta que mi cuerpo ya no pueda.
God, I love that one. I love
Chile.
that one. Yeah. That one's great.
And
her coach, she's doing stuff at 44 she never thought she could do, and her coach is getting her to do it. She trusts her coach. You can tell the relationship there is strong. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and that gym in Chile there, it's really cool. They had a bunch of the other videos, so you got to like see inside of it, and like it's just very unique. You know, you go to see CrossFit gyms in different countries, especially like bigger, thriving ones, and you're like, man, like this would never fly in the US right now. Like half of it was mad and half of it like wasn't, but like, I mean, it's so familiar at the same time, and their community was definitely you could tell it was a really tight-knit community, which was cool.
She's very relatable.
Everybody, I knew this was gonna happen. Sevon, we're getting hammered here. You see these comments? I knew that.
How did this beat the wheelchair girl? It didn't. I'm telling you, it didn't. Nothing. Just someone gets the money. They're all. It's impossible. It's impossible. Okay.
Yeah.
First place, ladies and gentlemen, $5,000. The Two Brain affiliate video contest. This year's winner. Action.
Well, this is going to be interesting filming myself. My name is Jose. I'm 35 and I go to Vintage CrossFit. What this affiliate means to me, it has brought me out of my comfort zone, but also helped me find myself. Growing up, I was always overweight, After college, I almost hit 500 pounds. I had my weight loss surgery in April 2019, and I was able to lose over 250 pounds. Ever since I found CrossFit, it has shown me the skills that I've never thought I would do as an obese person. They love my story. They feel inspired. When people say that, it makes me feel good. I just don't want nobody to go through what I went through. I'll have to be that advocate for my family, be that role model that I want for my future kids. Thanks to fitness and CrossFit, I've been able to do that.
Damn.
My favorite
Jose-
part about that was like how well that guy moves.
Crazy, right?
That's some good coaching. I don't. Oh, vintage CrossFit, you should be proud. I mean, not just on the weight loss thing, but how well that person moves. That's incredible.
Incredible.
Yep.
Handstand walking, those front squats were insane. And then you know, they only had 90 seconds, but the line that really hits me is I don't want anyone else to have to go through this. But the truth is that we've reached a point where there are a lot of people in Jose's condition, and it's going to take that group. It's going to take him to speak up because he's going to be the most relatable to that cohort. And you can't put a price tag on how valuable messaging from him is, because it's going to give people, I mean, you know, most people probably 500 pounds, they've just completely given up hope. Completely.
It's certainly a downward spiral, mental and physical. So, you know, and that they unfortunately complement each other. So you feel a little bit overweight. I'm going to lose 10 pounds before I start at my CrossFit gym. I got to get in shape first. And then next year you're 15, 20 pounds overweight, you know, and it's like, well, I could never do that now. The reality is the best way to get started is to just start. And I love telling stories like Jose's.
And even a cameo with Froning.
I saw that. That's amazing.
Which is cool, right?
Yeah.
What I really like too is, number one, the first time I watched it, I was like, I had to like go back. I was like, did this dude like use some sort of like AI to put himself in a fat suit? Because there's no way that's the same guy that we're watching on the camera talk right now, you know, when they show the photos of him at the wedding and stuff.
Huge.
And it just, and to see the two ends of the spectrum, to see somebody that looks like that, and then it cuts to a clip of him, you know, handstand walking. I loved the messaging in that, because most people, even fit people that weren't in his situation, would have came in and be like, I can't do this. This guy's handstand walking. They're moving the barbell. I've never seen these movements before. But to take somebody to how far he's come and to see it go through that, I mean, it really shows that there's nothing that can't be achieved with a proper coach, a great community, a great gym, and somebody who's just as consistent and as dedicated as Jose was. So, and Jose actually made that video too.
Wow. Amazing.
So, in all the rest of the 4 that he did at Vintage CrossFit were great, and this is him right here. Congrats, Jose.
Wow,
Yeah.
Jose, great to see you.
Congrats, dude.
Congrats. So cool.
He also sat through and watched every watch party with me. He was one of the main people. There was a handful of them that were pretty much at all 6 of them for 2 hours as we sat through, and I would pause and I would tell some random story about something in my life we play. And it was pretty awesome. Oh, CrossFit Santiago. Congratulations, guys. Congrats.
Yeah, congrats, guys. So awesome. Well done. You know, if you're an affiliate owner, like, this is one of the best things that you could do, is just capture these client stories. It doesn't have to be cinematic or anything. It's just pull up your phone and say, we're so proud of you. I think that your journey could inspire somebody else. Go, you know, and like, that's it. Years ago, Tyson Oldroyd, when I was in Scotts Valley to do a podcast, Tyson was like, I don't understand why more gyms don't just do what they see us doing at HQ, telling stories. And I was like, well, you know, we got to tell them. So
it is a lot of work. It's easier said than done. You know, some people obviously, I mean, the 845 people have put in a lot of work.
Sure.
I mean, I mean, you could just actually just go there and just watch their stuff just for enjoyment. I mean, you could just scroll through their Instagram account and everything is like amazing. And for some reason, this stuff comes easier to some people than others. But yeah, telling the stories is huge. I saw one. Sometimes I see stuff and I'm just like, you know, that doesn't capture my attention at all. But also, there's different audiences, right? So something might not get a lot of views, and it might show, just some 70-year-old person doing, just doing something, but those might be the clients that you're going for. And even with those 100 views, you'll get more clients than someone who got 10,000 views. So,
yep.
It just has to help one person to be worth it.
And thank you, Chris, because this would not be possible without you and all the good folks over at Two Brain Business. So we really appreciate the opportunity. I know a lot of gym owners got behind the camera, started getting more active with filming some of their stuff, and it was really great. And we actually have somebody else, Lisa, who I'll talk to her again about it, but she was saying that she'll give some money out to the winners. She has a ad agency. She'll run some ads for them in their local markets with a few ad dollars that they're willing to donate in for them if they want to do so. So we'll be getting in touch with the gyms here, making sure that they get their prize money, and then also setting them up with her if they want to do that.
Chris, do you know Lisa Gall?
No.
She is the I don't know what her official title is, but she's the media director for the Adaptive Games. I have to connect you with her. She is she's a powerhouse, and she's an incredible human being, and she has a pretty darn successful consulting business of her own. And she has jumped in with both feet and been working very closely with Kevin and his team. I mean, she is part of that team. The Adaptive Games are so easy to work with, but she is a specialist in taking content and putting money behind it on, on social media to get numbers and results. So I'll definitely need to put you in touch with her. She'd be great. She'd be great for someone for you to have at the summit. By the way, last year the summit sold out, and this year, before the summit was over, the 2024 summit was over, 300 tickets had already been sold to the 2025 summit. The summit last year was in Chicago. Is it in Chicago again?
Yep. twobrainsummit.com. And there are still some tickets, I think. My favorite story last year, though, was the guy that snuck in and told you about it. Hilarious.
Yes. I think that was actually one of the video contest people that we just saw. That being said, I also want to say this. If you have any thoughts about going to the summit, we couldn't get 1,000 people to our summits, 1,000 when I worked at HQ. And so that should speak to you about how much people they go to this summit in Chicago, the Two Brain Summit, and they leave so invigorated. It's a very special meeting. It's obviously, as CrossFitters, it's not your traditional summit. It's a great bonding experience, lots of education, a lot of friend building, some great sincere networking that occurs there. So I can't recommend it enough.
That line, that's Bergeron. The line to have him sign a book was 2 hours long. It was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
And you know, the Khalipa just travels in a pack, like everybody's around him, it's so great. Like to just be around these people who've always kind of been CrossFit heroes of mine. And Ben shows up Friday night and there's 3 or 4 of us in the lobby. We're going to walk to dinner. And by the time we get to dinner, there's 20 of us. And it's just like, these are the people who have run great affiliates and because they're just so magnetic themselves. And we just love having them and putting them all together. And when you come to the summit, you're going to meet 50 more just like them.
I don't want to give away, I won't be able to do it justice, but the example I'll use is Ben Bergeron. The talk that Ben Bergeron gave at the summit this year from people I spoke to who were there was a one-of-a-kind talk. It was the most vulnerable and sincere he's ever been. What I heard about what he was saying, it blew my mind. It is not your Chris isn't selling you anything there. You're not leaving with like protein powder or a 10-box DVD set or this is
the summit cost me a ton of we lose like $200,000 a year on it. It's just like it's important to me to connect people and let them feel like they're not alone out there.
Yeah, it's more like in a video game when your car runs through the right lane and you get energized. It's more of that type of event. It's a place to go, get energized, reinvigorated, healed. It's a healing event from what I've been told.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Chris, go ahead. Susan,
I just wanted to piggyback off that and say, Chris, if there's any thing that we could do, something that just immediately comes to mind for the summit is if I could take a handful, maybe 20 of the high production, great videos that we have from the affiliate summit and deliver those original files for you guys, maybe just to have playing in the background on a loop or something like that,
Yeah.
or anything as well. I'd be happy to help assist with that anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we love telling stories there. Thank you. Yeah, we just love telling stories. Like every year when I'm picking speakers, I'm like, what's this person's message? How's it going to help the person sitting in the audience, like working alongside with them, but also can they tell a good story? And I mean, you know, Kalipa, Bergeron, they did not disappoint last year. They went places I didn't think that anybody would go, and it was wild.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yes, that was the that was actually not the Two Brain Summit. That was just prior to the insurrection on the Capitol. That is correct. Sorry. Chris, you've been busted.
Yeah,
all right,
that's right.
Chris, thank you so much for coming on the show. I look forward to getting my hard copy. I look forward to having you on again soon. Thanks for doing this. Congratulations on all the success. Thank you for everything you've given to the community. Yeah. Thanks. brother.
All right. Take care, guys.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. You go ahead.
I was going to say, if anybody wants a copy, you can just go get it. It's twobrainbusiness.com/data. You can just have it. Like, we make it for you. We do it because I just, you know, we're in kind of a unique spot in the industry where we can be objective, but we're also extremely passionate about helping gym owners. And you can go download a copy, I believe, now.
Yep, it's available. The link is live. It's in the
Jose.
description of this show. It's also in the comments. So go check it out, guys. Dive into the data. It's
You're the best. Thank you.
All right. Ciao. Thank you, Mike Warkington, for bringing this all together. Talk to you soon, Chris.
Bye.
Could be a 5-hour fucking show.
I know there's so many different conversation points, especially with that book too, that we could dive into. But we held them for 2 hours and that was fun.
Good job, dude. Good
Thanks.
job. Okay, who wants to fight about what videos won? Fucking fight you. Who wants to fight?
I mean, that CrossFit Watchtower with the young lady in the wheelchair is.
Yeah, I think Chris had his tear ducts turned on.
How could they not? And her attitude is great. Hey, you know what's funny? You didn't see it because there was a couple other videos in that CrossFit Watchtower. And you know the scene where she rolls over the plates that they have stacked, where you could tell it's like tough to get the wheelchair up and over them, and they're at different heights, and so it's kind of like,
yeah,
she's like struggling, and then she just kind of hits this like lean, and then just shoots across the top.
Yes.
There's scenes in the other videos from CrossFit Watchtower where like male adults are trying to go over those things, and you could see they're like struggling because you saw a shot when she like shot across it, then it kind of zooms out and Kevin's kind of smiling like.
Yeah, I saw Kevin.
Yeah, the reason why is because everybody else struggled to get over the top of it. And once she got it, she just like zoomed across it. And so he was kind of giving that like, yeah, all right, she's got it.
11-year-old beat the adults.
Yeah.
Tomorrow,
really
Greg
cool.
Glassman. Thursday, Jorge Ventura is. Oh, Thursday, Marcus Capone.
In the evening, yes.
Okay. Marcus has a new movie coming out. I think Marcus has done all the big podcasts. I want to say he's been on Rogan, Sean, Ryan. That should be interesting. I think I've met Marcus at the games before. I think he's been on Rogan a couple times. And then Friday, Will Roosh is on. He's got a huge Instagram account. Great guy. Saturday, Kill Taylor. Sunday, Josh Cedar is coming on. Josh, I think he was a contestant on The Bachelor.
Yep.
And then he ran an experiment on his Instagram where he pretended to be a tranny for a year. That should be a fun podcast. Joe Nels, I can't thank Jess enough for bringing our stories to life. Give her some love in her DMs. The real Jezka. Jake Chapman, how come sometimes it's green when Jake posts and sometimes it's not? How do they do that?
I'm not sure. Maybe it's like a member post or something.
The incentive made every video played a winner. Even the ones not played won. They probably had ideas whilst recording and were reminded how special what they're doing is. Good job, chaps. More of this. We will
play
all the videos on the show. Like we'll rotate in 5 or 6 new videos every single month. We'll be playing all the videos. You know, selfishly, that's what I wanted to do. That was the original thought of the video contest is like, how can I get a ton of videos that promote affiliates and support affiliates, and that I could also pee at the same time. So that was the catalyst for the story. And then I happened to have Chris's phone number, so I called Chris, and I didn't mention the pee break part, but he got in. Jose V, I had told Souza I didn't want to record it, but my gym urged me to. Awesome. Well, good job.
His story, which is crazy, right?
Yeah, it's nuts. What's crazy is it moved me more watching it just now with you and Chris and on the show than the first time I had seen it.
Yeah. And shout out to all the Average Joe's CrossFit. Somebody said, like, how could they get on? They had great videos too. CrossFit FC, CrossFit. Man, there's just so many. Jigsaw CrossFit locally over here to Fremont had a great story. Yeah, there was just, dude, there is so many really just awesome ones that came out of it. And so, like we said, guys, we're going to still continue to upload them here to StreamYard. We'll be playing them for a long time into the future and keep getting fresh ones in so you guys could all see them. I think every single one of them got played during my live affiliate watch parties, and that's something that I'm proud of, to make sure that everybody's got some airtime and got some discussion and, you know, got to be played on the show. So thank you for everybody doing it.
Dear Bill and Katie. How much do you think that thing is?
Dude, it's got to be like 10 grand.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's got all the bells and whistles, so it's hard to tell from that photo, right? But I bet you just the skeleton of it is like 10 grand. And then if you were to take everything in that photo, yeah, what'd you say, 13 or something? That's probably closer.
I just the videos, it's so fucked because that when they move those things up and down, I just want to do that.
Yeah, I bet, because it's like, it's so smooth and effortless, it like slides and just like clicks into place. The fact, like, the Rogue,
it's porn, dude. It's fitness porn. It really is.
Hey, if you want to go to the brothel, go to the Rogue. If you're ever in Columbus, Ohio,
if you want to go to the Rogue, the Rogue brothel.
Because you were saying, it's just you look at it, you're just like, oh my gosh, it's like fitness porn or whatever. But when you go to Rogue in Columbus, Ohio,
and you just went there, right?
Yeah, I got to stop by there on my way home from meeting with the people from the state. But if you get a chance to go in there, they have a retail area, and in the front it's all the clothing, but then they have this section where it opens up, and it's basically every piece of gym equipment that they have, and it's just inside there for you to use, play around with, mess around. They got this huge strip of AstroTurf down the middle of it too that says Rogue, and they just have all these sleds out there and all this different stuff for you to just kind of like play with, and it's really cool. Oh, you seeing what it is now?
Yeah, I'm gonna see, like, if you just get all the
just every attachment for it.
Yeah. I mean, you need a barbell too. Rogue ankle cuff cable attachments. I don't even know what that is, but I'll take one.
So you could like attach it to your legs and do like leg lifts or lateral leg side raises or whatever.
Oh, it's not as bad as I thought.
What is it?
It's $6,000.
Oh, that's it?
But you need the bench and you need a bar and you need some weights. It's probably by the time you get the weights and the bar. Oh, and shipment must be crazy, dude. I wonder how long that takes to put together.
Yeah. Depends on how good you are. Yeah, Christian booty kickbacks.
So you can do I mean, look at this. I didn't even get those attachments, but you can basically just do everything on it. It's a squat rack, deadlifts.
Mm-hmm.
It's got the pull-up bar. I could even lower that pull-up bar.
Mm-hmm.
God, that is so nice. That Rogue FM twin functional trainer. Fucking look, different heights.
Oh
wow.
Fit inside garages or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, rack depth. Jeez Louise. They did it all.
Wow. all the different pull-up options, and damn.
I bet you there's some schools that just ordered 10 of those, huh?
Yeah, probably. Hopefully.
All right. I have so much fun stuff I want to show you, but like I said, I don't want to ruin the show that Cooper's on.
Yeah, that was fun.
Thanks again to Two Brain for the winners. Thanks for everyone for their submissions. Great, big week ahead of us.
Yeah.
Lots of great guests.
It's going to be fun.
That's cool that these are all loaded up.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. We will see you. I don't know. Maybe there'll be a show tonight. I don't know what's going on. Never know. Oh, do you have a show today?
I was going back and forth on like if I should still do it or not.
All right.
I think I will. Maybe
okay.
I will.
Okay. 82% chance Sousa does a show.
That's a good percentage.
All right. Talk to you guys soon.
Well, this is going to be interesting filming myself. My name is Jose. I'm 35 and I go to Vintage CrossFit. What this affiliate means to me, it has brought me out of my comfort zone, but also helped me find myself. Growing up, I was always overweight. After college, I almost hit 500 pounds. I had my weight loss surgery in April 2019, and I was able to lose over 250 pounds. Ever since I found CrossFit, it has shown me the skills that I've never thought I would do as an obese person. They love my story. They feel inspired. When people say that, it makes me feel good. I just don't want nobody to go through what I went through. I'll have to be that advocate for my family, be that role model that I want for my future kids. Thanks to fitness and CrossFit, I've been able to do that.